Hey everyone, welcome to Reddit Readout. Today we are checking out Confession. Story 1. I stole Garfield comic books from my 7th grade school library. I would sneak them into my backpack, take them home, rip off the stamp with the library info on it, and read them over and over again. I was bullied horrifically at that school. Garfield made me laugh. I thought I was getting back at the school for not doing anything about my bullies. I feel bad for the librarians at the school. I'm sure I fucked up their inventory somehow. It was 4 or 5 books I stole. I wish I could anonymously give them back, but I've since lost them. Story 2. My first 2 tattoos on human skin, other than my own, were on 2 13-year-old children, not mine. I am one of those ill-advised deviants, 41F, learning to tattoo from YouTube videos on an Amazon tattoo machine, although I've worked hard to make sure sanitization comes first because I've seen the aftermath of infected tattoos, and I bought some good quality black ink separately. I mostly got the machine because there are so many small, simple tattoos I want to get. I would rather save my money doing the simple ones myself and getting the bigger, more complex ones professionally done. So my intention was not to really work on other people. I started on practice skins and finally felt comfortable trying one on myself last week. It turned out fine, but I had trouble getting the depth right, and I mentioned this to my friend. She offered to let me practice on her, so we made arrangements for me to come by Friday. I showed up Friday with all my supplies and, as I was setting up, 2 of her kids were sitting around watching me. She came in and told them, "What did I say?" They jumped up and ran to the laundry room. So I laughed, asking, "How'd you manage to get those kids to do laundry? There are 5 of them, so the laundry really sucks." That's when she told me, she made a deal with the 2 oldest kids, both 13, that if they did the laundry they could each get a tattoo. You guys! My jaw was on the floor. I never ever thought I'd be in a position where I was faced with the prospect of giving 2 children their first tattoos. These kids love me, so I didn't want to be the asshole to tell them no, and in my state it's apparently legal to tattoo minors with the parents' permission. I don't think I've ever googled something so fast. Then, their mom, my friend, decided to cook dinner and had them go first. So the first and second tattoos I did on anyone other than myself ended up being on 13-year-old children. One of them got a cross on his leg and the other got her first initial with a cross together on her stomach. They turned out okay, thankfully they were simple, and the kids were troopers and didn't cry or anything. But I feel really guilty knowing they're going to have to live with these mediocre tattoos for the rest of their lives. Then, today, my worst nightmare happened. The girl texted me letting me know her friends loved her tattoo and now they all want one. Now I'm having to tell her no, I'm not tattooing another literal child, even if their parents say it's okay. I'm not trying to go to jail for this. I'm pretty sure the charge for tattooing a minor is written like unlawful penetration or something too, so I'm extra not trying to get charged for this. I am kind of upset with my friend for putting me in this position, but I guess if she's fine with it then I need to get over it. It just felt so wrong. Wow, it feels better to get it out. Thanks for letting me share. Story 3. When I was around 15 I took my mom's car out for a joyride and damaged the quarter panel. I knew where my parents kept the spare key. At the time both my parents were working and I'd be home alone after school. One day I decided to take her car to get some food. Didn't think anything of it. As I'm pulling out of the parking lot, I got hit from the side by someone. My heart dropped and I just sat there for a few seconds. I never got out, and once I realized what I did I hauled ass home and put my mom's car back in the garage. Weeks later we were heading out somewhere and as my dad was pulling the car out my mom noticed the damage. She thought someone had hit her car the last time she drove it to work. My dad was sure I did it and I played it off. I'm in my 30s now and I have never admitted to it. Story 4. I told my work my papa passed away overnight just so I won't have to come in the next day. I work under an agency as a travel worker. And these agencies just don't give a FK, They have zero cancellation policy, and if you cancel no matter how far the date is, you usually get charged double of what you would have made that day if you went to work. I made a mistake on booking though and have booked a shift 4 HRs away from each other. One evening shift into day shift. So after my evening shift on Friday, I'll drive 4 hours and get home at 2 am and then go to work again at 4 am to drive for 2 hours again to my next shift. Energy drinks haven't been working that much on me lately and I just don't trust myself not to fall asleep on the road. Again I did last week and hit a deer. Now they won't take this excuse, so I told them my papa passed away. I never call my dad papa, and all my grandpa have been dead for decades now. Story 5. I used to steal food from a supermarket when I was 14. A few years ago I used to take extra classes with my friends outside of school. While coming back, we used to go to a supermarket kinda shop to buy stuff. We used to sneak out chips, colas and other snacks under our jackets. There were no detectors to check. I did it 4 or 5 times and then I felt guilty and never did it again. Thank God I stopped, or might be in jail, or at least my parents would be humiliated because of me. Story 6. I intentionally broke a finger to go home early in elementary school. Setting the scene, it's Valentine's Day in 4th grade. Everyone's decorating paper bags and bringing candy up to the teacher's desk. Music is playing, all is well. That is, until it happens. A loud crack. Maybe someone stepped on a pencil perhaps? No, not a pencil. A numbness shoots through my hand. What's happening? As I look at my hand, it's a red broken mess. Think, red velvet batter, so sorry for the red velvet lovers. Blood is everywhere, I'm rushed to the nurse and just like that, I'm out just as fast as I was in. But what happened exactly? For context, my seat in my 4th grade class was very not secure. The entire seat would go backwards if I leaned backwards. Think, you sit an orange on a plate. As you push the orange backwards, the entire front half of the plate lifts up. I'd sometimes stick my finger, hand, or pencil under the seat then lean forward, but I'd always chicken out and pull my hand out before any damage could be done. That was, until 4th grade Valentine's Day. On this day, I'd wanted to stay home more than anything, but I'd been forced into that hellhole known as school once again. Might I add, this was a Friday, and on Fridays, we'd dismiss at 12:30 instead of the regular 3:30. I could have handled that 5-hour school day, but I just needed to go home. So, as I always did, I put my hand right underneath the seat and asked my classmate for a marker to decorate my bag. Her being the sweetheart she was, she gave me the marker. I leaned forward to grab it, completely forgetting my hand placement, and boom. Think of the impact when you bite down on a Pringle in a silent room. It got dead silent, and everyone immediately started looking around. I completely froze in place, leaned back to pull my hand out, and it was definitely not pretty. It took a few minutes for the pain to set in since my brain works about as fast as an Internet Explorer startup page. So after about 30 seconds of staring in silence, I broke down sobbing, watching the blood fall. I ran to my teacher, middle of my hand nearly soaked with blood. She rushed me to the nurse, but not before telling me to stop crying, of course. Good one, Hana, good one. The nurse, being the nurse, gave me ice, which only made it worse, and called my mom, who rushed me to urgent care. They numbed my finger a bit more, then wrapped it up. Turns out I had broken through the nail, to the point where it was split in half. It was really gruesome, but it's been a while and I've healed since then. However, that nail still has a white strip directly where the impact hit. I can still imagine the pain to this day, and it is not pretty. Dr. 9-year-old me broke a finger to skip school. Edit, to reply/answer some stuff. For starters, I'm very into pain and don't mind getting hurt to skip out on things. I could have faked it, but my mom has 4 other kids that also faked it, so I had to be creative, a little too creative I fear. It's been some years and I'm a-okay, but I was a real tough kid. Story 7. I lied to my dad and blamed my younger sister because of my period. My parents are divorced, so once in a week I go over to my dad's house. This time I had my period. My first mistake was bringing ultra-thin pads instead of those thick ones. The reason I didn't bring the thick ones was since my period this time was pretty light. It was my second or third day, but oh boy was I wrong. Fast forward, I'm sitting on the bed while my dad is in the same room sleeping. My sister is about to lay down next to me and surprise she finds a puddle of blood just right next to me. I was in horror. I even called my mom for her advice. At the end I decided to just tell my dad that my younger sister messed up the bed, which isn't entirely a lie since she did mess up a part with that little makeup kit with Barbie dolls. What I did was get that tiny lipstick and just smudge it all over the bed. He believed me and so I changed the bed, and the reason I lied was out of pure embarrassment and not because he'd yell at me. My dad is a good guy and would understand, but I was honestly just horrified of his reaction. Should have I told the truth, or am I right for lying? Story 8. I just hit a truck's hitch on the highway and ran. This happened like 20 minutes ago. I was stupid and thought it would be fun to swerve for a bit. I ended up rear-ending older pickup truck in the hitch. It was fairly low speed and it only damaged my car. As soon as I heard the crunch I took off. I'm only 16 and it's my first accident. I'm sorry to the black pickup driver. I definitely learned my lesson about reckless driving. I don't know if I will get in trouble with the law or not. Story 9. I slashed the tires of a person that shot at me and he's roaming free. My fault. We were in the middle of the woods and happened upon our destination, a really strange person in a large group of super off-put people to the distance, and couldn't figure out why they kept their distance until this weirdo shot at me and my ex 3 times for playing music from a speaker. He never asked to turn it down, he just started telling me my music was trash. I said good for you man and ignored it, and he didn't like that and shot at us. No one is hurt. Anyways, my ex insisted that we call the cops. One little thing though, when we got to the parking lot everyone else had driven off after hearing the shots. We deduced that his car was the only car in the parking lot as he was still out there a mile or 2 into the trail. We popped all of his tires. There's no cell service for miles, so we got on the highway, and once we got service my ex called the cops. The cops got there and the slashed tires gave this creep the ultimate excuse. Oh man, the same guy who shot at them must have slashed my tires. It was satisfying to slash them and inconvenience him, but at the same time I guess we couldn't have the cake and eat it too, because the investigation is taking forever and he never went to jail because he never admitted anything and played victim. I didn't want to call the cops, although a good idea. I just wanted to strand him in the middle of the woods because he wanted to shoot at someone. He didn't like their music and had no intention of communicating. That's all for today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.